1 second.
Hey, welcome guys. This is William Agnew from Cellular Repair School. I want to welcome you guys to our live webinar coming live webinar Repair School. It's not our first webinar, but
First in a long time, man. It's been like almost 3 years now.
It's been a long time, and technology has definitely changed.
Right.
Which allows us to actually bring this to you live, less complicated.
In some way.
But you know, it's one production.
Yeah. So, and with that being said, if we're experiencing technical difficulties, we're trying out some new platforms.
Absolutely.
So definitely let us know if there's any particular technical difficulties, so our staff and ourselves can get it all dialed in and make sure that you guys are getting the value that you want out of tonight's broadcast.
Exactly. So we're going to keep this hopefully to about less than an hour, minimum 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Which is why you guys may have seen when you signed up, we have multiple webinars that we're going to be doing week after week, and we'll talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, real quick, I want to make sure that we note this because we've noticed there are some problems. Some people were having problems registering for the webcast. So what we recommend is reloading, refreshing your browser right now, and also Google Chrome works the best because this is a Google Hangout.
Right.
So Google Chrome works better than any other browser. Internet Explorer don't have problems. So just make sure you guys are there so it's as seamless as possible.
Exactly. I mean, it makes sense that Google Chrome will work with Google Chrome.
Exactly.
All right, guys. So with that being said,
Echoes.
am I echoing?
Yeah, same. We got echoes.
Echoes. So again, new. So give us a second, guys. I think some people are. You guys hear echoes now? Let us know. Let us know. Do. Type yes. Oh. Yeah, that's what it is. I see what it is.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. Technical difficulties, like we said. This is our first time with this platform, so we're going to work out some of these details on the fly as we go here.
All right. So
how's that sound? We're a little bit better now? Can't tell. Okay. Well, keep it moving, and then we'll just keep. If we get more echo feedback,
right,
we'll make sure that we give us a little time to try to correct that.
Exactly. All right. So you guys ready? All right. So briefly, what we're going to do is introduce ourselves. I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself. For you guys who don't know me, you've probably seen me quite often if you've been checking with Cellular Repair School. I'm on many videos out there. My name is William Agnew. I am the co-founder, dean, and director here at Cellular Repair School. And just to tell you a little bit about myself, and then Josh's going to tell you a little bit about himself and our history, and basically why they should be listening to us. I mean, you know, just to give you guys a little example of
do we know what we're talking about?
Do we know what we're talking about? So my history is I have and I'm only telling you guys about my educational history because it's relative. So I have a bachelor's degree in electronics and I have a master's degree in business. And so I've worked in this business, the cell phone repair business, for it's been about 5 years now. So I like it. It's cool. I'll tell you a little bit about how I got into this business. So I worked for a Fortune 500 company. I won't say the name of the company, but I did that for about 8 years. And like most of you probably know, economy's bad. So I got pretty much laid off.
I got
downsized about 5 years ago. And it kind of put me in a position where I didn't know where I wanted to go, what I wanted to do. I didn't know if I wanted to go back to corporate America. I really didn't know. Because I always had this thing of wanting to create opportunity for individuals. And that's what I wanted to do. I always wanted to be more than just working every day and working for a company and a corporation.
Right.
So what I did is I took time off after I got downsized. Took a little bit of time off to decide what I wanted to do next. And I didn't know if I wanted to go back to corporate, so I took about a year off, and I ended up, which is kind of funny, I'm going to tell my little story real quick. I ended up working which is nothing wrong with this, but I ended up working at Target on the late night, right, stocking shelves about 5 years ago. And it wasn't because I had to, but it was mainly because I wanted to create opportunity. And I knew it would be more of a commitment.
Right, it wasn't something that you wanted to do.
Exactly.
Right? You wanted to go in a different path. You had done that.
Exactly.
You want to go a different way now.
Exactly. We want to go a different way. And I know some of you guys out there are probably like that, especially you guys who are in this business. You are in this business because you were looking for opportunity. And this business definitely brings a lot of opportunity. As a matter of fact, we're going to be talking about that opportunity tonight and what that opportunity looks like. But needless to say, I did that, and I did that because I wanted the flexibility of actually creating what we've created over the past 5 years, which is opportunity to offer people and individuals out there. So needless to say, cut it short, give you the Reader's Digest. Here we are. We've been in this industry. I've been in this industry for about 5 years, and been teaching. Like I said, I was the main instructor here at Cellular Repair School. Now we have a few instructors. So if you guys actually come to the class, you'll meet some of those guys. Even if you do our online, you'll meet some of those guys. But that's me in a nutshell. Don't want to run long. Again, we're going to keep this to 10 minutes. I'm going to pass it over to Josh and let Josh tell you a little bit about himself, his history, and why you should be, paying attention to what he says.
Well, for those of you that don't know who I am, my name is Josh Gray. I've done some things with you on video. I'm actually the founder and the CEO of Cellular Repair School, but I play more of a behind the roll scene as far as the forward-facing stuff goes. But my background is about 5.5 years ago, I got into the cell phone repair space. I've been an entrepreneur for most of my life. I was doing a completely different business before then. Had some personal situation that came up. I went through a divorce, and the business that I was in was real estate, and it was really taxing. I needed a lot of money to make money in real estate because I was flipping houses and doing whatnot. Who wasn't at the time? But when I went through that divorce, it froze up all of my assets. I didn't have a way to make a living anymore, so I decided I needed to do something different. Now I have a background in electronics, and I found this opportunity for cell phone 5.5 years ago, actually, through a college friend of mine who was doing something in Dallas. And when I looked at the space back then, it was definitely underserved. And why I decided to get into the business specifically was because there wasn't any legitimate training sources or educational sources there. There was a lot of these crash course sort of weekend Donald Trump seminar type, which is there's nothing wrong with that, but it leaves a big gap in education.
It does,
right? And over the years, what we've continued to change our direction as the school because of you guys, right? We realize we put over 1,000 students a year into the cell phone repair business, and we get a lot of feedback from what's working in the field. And I still own stores. I have stores now, and that's our research and development, so I can stay current and our curriculum stays up to date to make sure that you guys are getting what you need.
Absolutely.
But we always have to shift forward in that way because we realize, what was working yesterday doesn't work tomorrow, and some of the problems that you're going to experience are going to be different. Someone doing mobile repairs is going to have a way different set of experiences than someone who has 80 stores. So that's really what Cellular Repair School is here for, is to fill those gaps no matter where you're at in your business cycle. If this is the industry you're interested in, we have some way of being able to help you. So just a quick little background on who I am and why we're here.
Absolutely. So with that being said, we'll go ahead and keep it moving, and we want to get into the meat of what this webinar really is about, and it's twofold. So the first thing I want you guys to understand is that we have a purpose specifically for each webinar, all right? We want to be very specific in what we talk about because, as Josh said, this industry is huge. So it really depends on what you're looking for as to what may interest you.
Right, and what niche you might want to go into.
What niche
and that's kind of what we're going to talk about tonight. I see how many people we got on so far. We had almost 500 people register, so sometimes not everybody can make it, but we got 121 of you guys online so far. And I guarantee you out of that 121, as you guys talk on the forum, you'll notice that there's a vast background or a real wide variety of backgrounds. Exactly. You have some people who aren't in the business, some people who are doing repairs from home. There's people on here who probably have 100 or 200 stores. So because of that, that's what this series of webinars is here to do, is to kind of fill in those gaps for you guys and to try to talk to you and what the opportunities are in the cell phone repair space.
Exactly. So what we're going to do is talk about the purpose, today's purpose. So we'll start with the overview. So the overview is what we're going to be doing now going forward. And then we'll get specifically in today's purpose. So as some of you guys saw as you signed up, you saw that we're going to be having subsequent webinars. So we're going to be having webinars, at least 4 right now that we have scheduled for the next couple of weeks, or the next 4 weeks. And then depending on what your feedback is, what you guys want to know, just as a result of what we get from this webinar, we'll be able to add more webinars and talk about those things that specifically affect you and what you need to know and what you want to know. There's so many parts that we want to talk about in this thing. I mean, industry trends, where the industry is going. You know, technicians, you know, business. There's opportunity in this industry for everybody, and that's really what the focus is. And we want to make sure that each webinar is focused on that specific thing. So if this is not the topic that you guys are interested in, I advise you to still stay listening, because you're going to get some jewels, and you might get some things at the end that might benefit you.
Right, exactly. Anyway. So yeah, and to recap, I just wanted to pull up what the upcoming webinars are going to be. So just so you know where you're at and where we're going to be going over the next several weeks. And then, like Will said, the purpose of these is to get feedback from you guys also, because we're going to be doing these regularly from here on out, and we're going to be always giving you some free training, basically, to help you in your business as you move forward.
Absolutely.
So today's webinar is to really help people decide if they're in the business, decide if they're in the right direction for their business, or if they're on the fence as far as getting into the business, to kind of give you an overview of what this cell phone repair business really looks like.
Exactly.
Our next webinar on May 21st is going to be for people who are already in the business but are struggling and are looking for ways to get more business in the door. So you're doing cell phone repairs, but you need to do a lot more than what you're currently doing.
Right.
That's what the one that'll be on May 21st is going to be.
Right.
May 28th, our third webinar, is going to be for those existing owners that are struggling finding technicians. Now, that is a definite problem in this space for people who begin to scale their businesses up.
Right.
It's very hard to find and retain technicians. So we have some jewels we're going to really help.
I can't wait to talk. Honestly, I don't mean to cut you off. I can't wait to talk about that, because that is such a passion of mine right there. Because we know that this industry has changed.
It
right?
has.
It's
not the same industry.
It's not the same industry, and what people want has changed.
Right.
And we see that each and every day. So we really want to cater to what that change is, so we can provide you guys with that change. It's very important to us. It's not the way it used to be, and what we do know, there's a lot of people out there delivering what you need the way it used to be. Right. And it's not working. You know,
that's right. Yeah, and we know that firsthand, and we'll talk more about that. So that's what our third webinar on May 28th is going to be. June 4th, which is going to be the last in this series, but not the last webinar, just the last in this series, which is kind of the introductory series. June 4th is going to be for people who aren't necessarily interested in becoming a business owner, but want to be the best possible technicians to go work for some of you guys. Right? So that's what that's going to do, is kind of fill that gap. It's great for business owners to attend that as well.
Absolutely.
So you really kind of understand what that marketplace looks like, and what potential staff members and high-level technicians are demanding and are looking for.
Because one of the biggest challenges we know for people in the business, which a lot of people on this call are in the business, the biggest challenge, I don't even have to say it, we know what it is.
It's people.
It's people.
All day.
It's people. Yeah. It's finding, there is no farm for who you need, right? It's very difficult to find, and we take those calls all the time. Like, do you have somebody that I can implement into my existing business? I need technicians. And so that industry is definitely developing and it's changing, and we're going to cater to that and make sure we're giving you guys what you need in that respect. So anything you want to add?
No, I was just going to say, for those that don't understand what farm is, it just means like our industry, over the last several years, this industry was specifically for guys like us, entrepreneurs, right? So that's who we've been teaching, is people who want to get into the cell phone repair business. That's still a majority of our students. But there's a shift happening for people who just they love doing repairs, they love teching, and they want that opportunity. But as you know, as some of you might know, let me correct that, is this isn't like the web design space where you can throw a rock and hit 45 web designers on every corner, right? It's very hard to find a well-qualified and certified technician.
It is.
Right? So that's what that webinar is going to be.
Yeah. So with that being said, let's go ahead and move on into, so what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to do something really tricky, and I'm going to try to do some of this technical stuff, all right? So if I mess up a little bit, you guys work with me. I'm going to try to get this, and as soon as I get it, we'll move on into the presentation. So what I'm going to do is pull up the presentation so we can talk about a few things. And so you guys' screen may change. And so you can see.
So you know this is like the boat being put into the water for the first time.
So let's go. And again, welcome, guys. I know that was a long open, but welcome. So let's get into the meat of it. So today, I'm going to go ahead and switch to me. I need to turn my microphone on. So you guys tell me, all right, am I echoing? If I am, let us know. If not, great. Let me know that also.
Yeah, it's hard. There's a little delay between what we're seeing and what they're hearing.
Exactly. So let's go ahead and get into. what this opportunity looks like. All right, and that's why I'll go back to the screen actually. So we did the meet and greet, purpose overview webinars. All right. What we want to talk about next is what does the cell phone repair opportunity look like? And the reason why we want to do that, Josh, and you can add to this, is because we feel like there are a lot of people out there who really don't understand the full scope of what this opportunity is, right?
Yeah, and I'll tell you, point blank, you know, I own phone repair stores, and it's amazing when I run into people on the street, how many people still say, oh, you can fix it yourself.
Exactly.
Right? So,
exactly.
You know, a lot of people who end up interested in this space end up interested because they broke their phone and they start to realize, man, there's maybe an opportunity here because of expense that was involved in trying to replace that phone. So that's the topic specifically.
Yeah.
You know, is what does this industry look like? What is the potential? Even for some of you guys who might have been doing your research, maybe you don't realize exactly what the potential of this industry is. It's a lot harder, and it's going to surprise you quite a bit.
Absolutely. We're going to talk about that some today, some next week, some the week after, some the week after, so stay with us, all right? So,
we got to echo again.
We got to echo again?
Try turning your microphone on. Mute your microphone again, because maybe it's still feeding through the other one.
Yeah, I think.
You get that one back up. Sorry, guys. Appreciate your patience with us on this. We promise the next one's going to be a lot smoother than this.
So turn this one off.
Yeah, mute your mic.
Gotcha.
Okay, so hopefully, yeah, we're good.
Now, let us know if you guys can still hear us. If you can't hear us, just let us know that echo should go away. And let us know if you can still hear us if you can. I'm sure you guys let us know whatever goes wrong, so just let us know, all right? And then at the end, we didn't talk about this, so still looking at today's agenda, at the very end, you guys see a bonus, which is an opportunity, which we're going to give you guys at no cost to you, an opportunity to actually see, especially you guys on the fence, to see if this is something you want to do, can do, or should be doing. All right, so stay tuned.
We're good.
Good.
We're good.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry for the hassle. we got it worked out now.
I think so we understand how the technology works.
Right.
All righty. So let's move on to the next slide. 1 second. All right, we did the intro, we did the purpose, and now what we want to talk about is the opportunity. So I'm gonna let you own this, Josh, and you tell us a little bit about each one of these topics, all right? Because we get these kind of phone calls all the time. We have these kind of conversations all the time. It's kind of like you said, and I tell my students all the time, if you go to, you know, if you're sitting at a bar and you look to the left and you tell a guy and you have this conversation and you say, hey, he asks, what do you do? What do you do? I'm in the cell phone repair industry. I tell my students all the time, 8 out of 10 times people are going to be like you just said.
Right. What is that?
What is that?
How do you do that? You make money, people pay for that? Right? People can fix cell phones?
Exactly, right. Exactly. But it's, you know, it seems to us, because you guys are in the business, that kind of everybody knows, but in actuality, it's still it's still a high upside with cell phone repair, because it's not as well saturated or as popular as you may think.
Right.
So the first question is it too late, Josh? Is it too late to get into this industry, to get into the repair business specifically? Now, we do know that this industry is more than just repairs.
Right.
But that's the meat of it.
Right. And that's what people
repairs.
associate, right? So,
right.
In a word, no, right? But let's kind of recap, and we didn't get a chance to update this slide for you guys,
right?
Because I was doing some research, and as of last year, the cell phone repair industry by itself, just cell phone repairs, not cell phone sales, is a $1.2 billion industry. $1.2 billion. Wrap your mind around that. Now, the other part of that, when people ask, is it too late, right, is what's the competition look like? Mm-hmm. Now, what's interesting in this space is that there are a lot of mom and pops popping up, but there's no one that owns a vast majority of the marketplace.
Right.
Like, you can look at almost any other marketplace and you can see major dominators in the marketplace.
Right.
In fact, to use cell phones as an example, right, when you think of Apple, how much of the market share does Apple own?
At the moment,
25%.
25%.
Right? So they're a major player in that space, but they still only have 25% of the market.
Which leaves 75%.
Right? Samsung has 25%.
Absolutely.
And then your other carriers, HTC, LG, and
they're all fighting for the other.
They're fighting for the other 50%.
Right.
You know, so in the cell phone repair space, there is not a major dominator. In fact, I'm trying to get this together for you guys. Hopefully, I can have this by the end of the week. But there's a report done by the Pew Research industry, and that's what they do, is they do research on all sorts of industries, and they're really well known for putting together great documents.
Right.
And they're the ones that stated that. That's a $1.2 billion industry. It's comprised of mostly scattered brands, so mom and pops like ourselves, all of us that are here. and it's growing at a 5% rate per year.
Right.
You know, so that's a really healthy industry. That's healthy growth, right? And with that being said, they reported that there's only about 2,800 shops in North America alone, just in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a lot of other countries are a little bit further behind where we are also.
Right.
So for those of you that are out of the country, you know, the opportunity could be really, really great. I know, like Australia is like wide open still.
Well, we know we went to St. Lucia,
right? St. Lucia and Aruba,
right? Aruba. So we've done training abroad internationally, and we saw firsthand that the technology is behind. It's catching up, right? Like it always does, right? But there is opportunity.
Absolutely, and the marketplace is where we were 5 years ago. There's not a whole lot of repair shops,
right?
You know, so to kind of go back to the point, this is a huge industry, guys, especially for when we talk about what it takes to really get this. For those of you guys in the business, you already know, like, what other business can you start that has such a low investment? I can't think of one, and I'm telling you, I've literally owned like 6 different businesses, and there's not another business I can think of on the planet right now that allows you the potential upside of what this business provides for the amount of investment that's required. It's minimal.
That's what's so attractive to people, is that you can get started. And with that being said, a good point to make is you can make your investment back in such a short period of time for what it takes to actually get into this business, which is also very attractive to people. So that's a good point. So what's the next question? So you've answered that question clearly, right? Is it too late? And I think the
answer is no. The answer is no.
Exactly.
Right? So I guess the next part is it always comes down to how much can I make? Right? Like, if you're not in the business yet, if you are in the business, we'll talk about that, and I want to get into it in this webinar, but we'll probably have to talk about it in another one. Right. Because if you're not earning, you know, $10,000 to $15,000 a month,
you're doing something wrong.
Yeah, I mean, you should really be able to make a really good living in this business right now because it's not overly saturated. Right. And we're in a very dense populated metropolitan area. Exactly. Right. So let's pull up the slides where we kind of talk about for those of you that aren't aware, for those of you that are in the business, you're going to get this. So just bear with us for a couple of minutes as we get this, but maybe it'll get you thinking about things a little bit different also.
All right, so you want to move on to the show?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Let's talk about, you know, what you can actually make in this business.
How much money can I make in this business?
You know, that's a question we get all the time.
All right, so let's use an example, right? So what we have prepared is an example, and here we have the example. Today's example here at Cellular Repair School is iPhone 5 broken screen, right? Everybody should be especially if you're in this business, you should be pretty familiar with iPhone 5 broken screens, right? Right. Broken screens are going to be it's going to be probably your most popular repair just due to the fact that it's a glass, right?
That's right.
It's like walking around with a glass. I tell my students all the time, it's like walking around with a glass in your hand. At some point, you're going to break that thing, right? Yeah. So again, opportunity, guys. It's mobile. The difference is it's mobile. Right. Right. And I tell students all the time, my desktop, for example, it's going to sit here, right? And unless my big booty behind knocks it over by mistake, which it could do, then it's probably not going to have any hardware issues, right? Maybe software, right? But what's happened is this transition into mobile, guys, and that creates all the opportunity because people are going to leave it on their cars, right? Their tablets on their cars, their phones on their, like me, I leave my phone in my lap, right? I get out of the car, it flies across the parking lot. So the opportunity is there, and it's really because of this mobile explosion. I mean, it's been a mobile explosion. So today's example, and Josh is going to talk about a little bit about this, and kind of give you guys, especially you guys who are on the fence, right? You guys who are already in, I'm sure you already know this. So stay with us because we are going to give you guys value also. But we're really in this one, we're talking to those people who are on the fence. So this iPhone 5 is to help you see clearer what the possibilities are. So, Josh, you want to go ahead and take this over right now? We're showing the iPhone 5. Yeah. You can move on to the next.
Do me a favor and pull up the next slide. So, just to kind of break this down for you guys, right? So, the iPhone 5 is an easy one for you to wrap your head around because it's a popular phone on the market right now. And well, when you put this number together, you got about $120 is what people across the nation. That's kind of what we're seeing. $120 US is what people are charging. Granted, there's people charging less. There's people charging more, and we'll talk about pricing and how to set your pricing, right? But we're just going to use this as an example so you can kind of wrap your minds around how this works, right? So for an iPhone 5 glass, you should be charging around $120, or you could get about $120, right? So the cost for the part, which is the digitized, the full assembly, right? That's not even doing the lens separation. That's
Right.
just replacing the LCD and the digitizer all in one, or excuse me, the lens piece. It's going to be about $50. You can get it a little bit less. I know, guys. You can get it less if you import it from China, and there's some suppliers that are less, and there's some that are more. But on average,
Yeah.
you're going to be right around $50.
Right.
So for that particular repair, you're going to make about $70, right, on that repair, using those numbers that we have. Like I said, some could be a little bit less, a little bit more, but about $70. And the iPhone 5, particularly what I love about that one, is it literally is a repair that you can do in about 15 to 20 minutes. That is one of the easiest phones to work on. A lot of people get really worried about the technical portions on
Absolutely.
the iPhone,
Yeah.
but this one is like super simple, especially compared to the iPhone 4 or 4S. It was
Right.
a lot more complicated just because there were so many screws.
Right.
Right? So bring us to the next slide. So
next
we're looking
slide.
at $70,
Right.
right? $70 per repair.
Right.
Now, wrap your mind around how many repairs you might be able to do a day if it only takes you 30 minutes tops to do this repair, right? If you do 2 repairs a day, that's $140 net profit, guys. Net profit. That's not what you're collecting. That's what you're walking away with, right?
Absolutely.
If you could do 5 repairs a day, that's $350 a day. That's just one technician doing 5 repairs. And if you could get 10 repairs a day, that's $700 per day profit, right? Now, granted, that's
assuming,
right, assuming, and that's not counting in any overhead you have and stuff like that, but that's just gross profit.
Right.
You know, a lot of other businesses, you're not going to have those sorts of margins.
Right.
So now if we take those numbers, right, and you say, okay, you're doing 2 repairs at, let's say, 26 days a month,
Right.
right? So what is that, 54 repairs a month? That's not a whole lot.
Not a lot.
Right? That's $3,600 a month, guys. That's a pretty decent side job.
Absolutely.
Because that's only an hour a day of work, right? I mean, that's not a whole lot. That's 26 hours a month of working.
It is.
So that's not even, I mean, that's nothing.
That's
It's
nothing.
really, that's why I love this business, right?
Yeah, it's
So again,
what you want it to be.
right. So the example continues to break it down that, you know, 5 repairs over 26 days is $9,100 a month, and if you do 10 repairs a day over 26 days, that's $18,000 per month profit after your cost of goods sold are taken away from that. So let me tell you, the way this industry really works is you have the opportunity to do this on the side. There's a lot of you guys that might be doing that. You have a job, you're just looking to do repairs on the side.
Absolutely.
Right? Maybe you're not overly ambitious trying to get to that $18,000 a month, right? But you could still make $2,000 to $3,000 a month part-time, additional, just doing a few repairs with these large margins.
Right.
And there's ways to get your margins significantly better than that we'll be talking about here soon as well.
Exactly.
You know, and then obviously the next piece for you to wrap your mind around is, all right, how many repairs a day should a technician be able to do?
Right.
Right? Because if you're going to have a store, you want to open multiple locations, how many repairs can you expect to get out of there? Now, what we've seen is it depends on the level of technician you have. But we see anywhere from 8 to 15 repairs a day, depending on the difficulty of the repair.
Right, absolutely.
These type of repairs, if this is it and this butt open and shut,
Right.
I mean, you should easily be able to get 20 repairs a day per technician.
Easy.
Right? In my stores, we usually have about 3 to 4 technicians. So you do the math, and it starts to add up to a pretty substantial income. I mean, you can do really, really well.
Yeah.
Is there anything else on the
I think that was pretty much it. I mean, anything we want to add,
Right.
anything we want to add to that in terms of helping people who are on the fence. Because really, again, this is the purpose of this is to drive home the fact that this is something that, you know, I'll help you guys understand whether this is something you can do, you want to do, you should be doing, or you shouldn't be doing. And, you know, we just want to, again, explain the opportunity and help you guys understand the opportunity. So with that being said, Josh, let's kind of transition into this. We talked about how much money you can make. How easy is it to, and I know we're going to be talking about this a little later on, but how easy is it to drive that business to you, right? And I know we don't want to get deep into that because that's at a later date, but the opportunity, I think it deserves a little conversation about, okay, we see how easy it is to generate this net profit or this income if we have the work.
Right.
But how do we get the work, and how easy is that? How feasible is that?
Well, easy is a word that you know, I would say it's simple,
right?
But it's not necessarily easy.
Yeah.
But with that being said,
yeah,
it can be done easily. Realistically, depending on the area you're in, especially, I mean, there's a lot of low-cost methods to really drive a lot of traffic to either your website, your cell phone, or if you have a store, to your store locations.
Mm-hmm.
So, excuse me. when it comes to that, realistically, you can do, I mean, there's a bunch of different methods, but the free methods are usually the first ones that we always teach and we recommend. I mean, think about it, guys. It's something as simple as going out and introducing yourself to your Verizon stores, your T-Mobiles, your AT&Ts, letting them know that you do repairs. You'd be surprised by cultivating a great relationship with your stores, how many referrals they will send your way. It blows my mind, to be honest with you. And it's because they do not have an on-demand model. So that's what you have to remember. A lot of people get stuck on, well, you know, they have insurance or they'll fix the phone.
Right.
You know, you got to remember, these guys don't do repairs. Now, some authorized dealers, not the corporate stores, some authorized dealers might. But even then, it's very, very little. Mm-hmm. And I would tell you, the opportunity that we always teach our students to do is, even if you think someone might be your competition, especially let's say you walk into a Verizon store that's an authorized dealer, right, and they do repairs, yeah, a lot of times they can't do the repairs that you could do if you're trained and certified, right? So that's a wholesale opportunity for you to fix things, right, that they can't fix, right, or to fix things that they break, right, right? So that's one easy way. But I would tell you, Craigslist by far, and we're gonna get into that. And realistically, here's how this works. Everybody who attended the webinar today, we're going to give them a free training package. Right. So you're going to get to actually test drive our online training system. Right. And inside of that, specifically for those of you who are thinking about getting into the space, we're going to give you some additional material inside of that training that we don't normally include in that portion. And specifically, what it's going to be how to do an iPhone 5 repair, okay? Right. And then how to use Craigslist to drive traffic back to you. Because what we want you to be able to do, we want to prove to you guys that are unsure of this industry, we're going to prove to you that you can do this and that you can make money doing this and to kind of get out of your own way. So to do that, we're going to give you all of this training at no cost because we want you to succeed. Because we believe if you succeed, right, you'll start to see the value of training, right, and hopefully come back to us when you decide that you want to actually take this, right, to a whole nother level. And we want you to go out there and start making money right away. So we'll start talking about that offer in a little bit. Right. So to add, piggyback on what Josh is saying, and now the purpose is, again, this purpose of this webinar is to get people who are on the fence off the fence. So you guys who are already in the business, obviously you're not on the fence, you're already off the fence. Right. But what I can tell you is that this at no cost to you opportunity to test our system. If you don't have it, if you guys are alumni, you already have it, go back in, do it again. All right, because what we've added, like Josh said, is something that we don't normally add for people, right? Which is a way to actually drive traffic to you, and you guys can capitalize on that too. You guys who are already in the business can capitalize on that also. So my advice is do this free, this trial run, right? And no matter where you are in the business, if you're on the fence, if you're in the business, if wherever you are in the business, do this, because what will happen is this will enlighten you possibly to more possibilities. And it's just a preset. It's a predecessor, right, to what we're going to be sharing with you on down the line. All right. So right. So what I want to do, we kind of got ahead of ourselves a little bit. Just a little bit. What I want to do, what we forgot to talk about is, because we covered how much you can potentially earn. And right, guys, we're covering that on such a simple level. Mm-hmm. If you really start putting your thinking caps on and you realize how aggressive you want to be and what you could potentially make is really, really large. That's why there's a lot of new players that are moving into this space, like Radio Shack and guys like these, right? Right. But now I want to talk about specifically how much does it cost to get into this business. Okay. Because that's the second part of the equation, right? Like the numbers might look sexy, it is, but if it takes me $200,000 to get into the business, yeah, is this something that I can do? How many people have $200,000? Right. So, and we hit on it a little bit, but we didn't. Yeah. So realistically, guys, again, this business, literally, if you know how to do the repairs, you can start doing the repairs with just minimal tools and the equipment. We know students who've literally invested $200 for inventory and are out there making money. We know students who we've never personally met. They were online students of ours. Absolutely. Did not have very much working capital, no money to work with, mm-hmm, right? They took the online course. They started doing repairs out of their house. Right. They grew it to multiple locations, right, by reinvesting that money. Right. Right. the tools that it costs for you to get into this are minimal. And of course, you don't have to buy your tools through us. That's not what we're here for. But they're minimal. I would say that if you already have a basic startup kit of tools, which a lot of people don't because they're kind of specialized for cell phones. They tend to be small, like jewelers tools. But if you already have some sort of training kit, it even reduces your costs. But literally, you could get started doing these type of repairs we're talking about for under $100. Literally under $100 for just screen repairs. Now, if you want to take it up and start getting more professional tools and doing more difficult repairs, you're going to want to invest in the right things like microscopes and some other stuff that you're going to need. And then even then you're only talking $800 to $1,000 potentially, maybe even less depending on how you want to structure it. Now, of course, there's larger packages you can get into if you wanted to, get Cellular data transfer machines. I mean, the sky's the limit. I know students who have invested, minimal amounts of money to start, and I know students who have invested hundreds of thousands of dollars to start their business. So it really just depends on what you want to do. But if you think about it, let's just use some round numbers. Let's say that the tools cost you around $1,000. Let's say to get at least a basic startup kit of inventory, so that's going to be basic things you need like iPhone 5 digitizers, some Samsung digitizers. Let's say you get started with just $1,000.
Yes.
You're in for $2,000 invested to potentially turn that into 10 times that within just 30 to 60 days.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I don't know another business that has that potential on the planet.
We just showed if you do two a day with the iPhone 5, which is just an example, obviously.
Yeah, and that's one phone out of hundreds.
You're already 3,000, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you recoup your investment. I mean, that's better than 100% return on investment. It's fantastic. So it really doesn't take much. Now, granted, you are going to want some kind of training, right? And something that people are really worried about is having the skill over time, the workmanship. And what we say is, obviously, the training, you know where to come for that, right? So we're not going to sell you on that tonight. That's not what we're here for, right? But I want to provide some value to you guys. And as far as getting out of your own heads, when I started the business, I started practicing on customers' units. Now, I don't necessarily recommend doing it that way, but if you're not working with much capital and you can't scratch up some practice units from friends and family that have old cell phones laying around, just to be able to do at least the basic repairs, the very best way to get going is to just start advertising. Get out there and do it. Jump both feet into the water and start doing it. And it's a great way to really reduce your costs. And I'm telling you, you got to get out of your own way, guys. Do not get into what we say is analysis paralysis, where you're just constantly looking for more information, more and more and more before you take the leap. Realistically, you can start with the most simplistic things, which are going to be screen repairs, and then start to work up from beyond that point. So that's all I got to say on that. I don't know, was there any questions on that you had? Or
I was looking at some of the questions from our viewers, and we're going to get to those. Just to let you guys know, we're going to answer as many questions as we can. So we want to have enough time to do that. We're going to pick through. We know you guys got a lot of chat going on. So I see some questions. I see some. Yeah. So we're going to try to answer as many of these as we can. So what I want you guys to do at this point is to go ahead and start posting those questions. Right. And by the time we wrap this up, we're gonna, we'll get to those questions and start answering as many as we can. Mind you, we're gonna be here for the next, who knows, every week until until
you guys think there's no value there anymore, right? And again, we're gonna use your feedback to help create content. So if there's specific things you want to learn, tell us. Send us emails. Send it on the chat right now. We're gonna gather all that up, and we're gonna create content inside of these webinars to give you value, so you can go out there and be the best technicians and the best business owners you can be. Right. So
support at Cellular Repair School.
So exactly.
If you guys want to send, if you think of something after this point, and you can't use the chat anymore, feel free to send us feedback on this. Just title it webinar ideas in the subject line, webinar ideas, and send us whatever topics you guys want to talk about. We have some very direct focused topics that we're going to give you, which is full of value. Again, I'm very excited about some of the things in the pipeline that we're going to be talking about, because I think it's a transitional conversation to help you guys understand how to do your business and direct some of you guys into what to do for your business. So I'm very excited about that. So again, go ahead and start posting those questions. so we can start answering those questions for you guys. We're going to leave about 15 to 10 minutes for Q&A.
Okay. Yeah, let's dive into it. There's one here from Greg. Greg is asking, are the big players, where'd he go? Man, it's not popping up here. Are the big players like Tiger Direct and Radio Shack getting into repairs? Greg, yes. Yes, they are. In fact, Radio Shack just rolled out a repair program to 200 of their corporate locations. They're looking to expand it into all of their franchise-owned stores as well. So they are beginning to get into the space. Now, we know quite a bit about what's going on with Radio Shack's program. Yeah, exactly. We're involved in a lot of conversations with them. And there's a lot of struggles there. So, you know, does that mean that there's not an opportunity for Greg's business to succeed? Absolutely not. Absolutely not, because all we have to do is figure out a way for Greg to separate himself from what they do, right? So there are more and more. Only now is it starting. So just be aware that this is, we've been doing this for a long time, and only now is it starting. I expected this to start happening 2 years ago.
Right.
So just now are some of the major players starting to move into the space, which is your Radio Shacks. Batteries Plus just rolled out a program, you know, over 300 locations from Batteries Plus now. So there's more and more that we expect to see getting into that as well. Right. Solaris is another one. They've been huge in the franchise case and accessory space, and now they're moving into the cell phone repair space. But a lot of these guys, they're stuck doing very, very simplistic, basic repairs. And I can tell you, 3 years ago, actually I would say 4 years ago, let's be fair, 4 years ago, majority of what we did in the cell phone repair business was not broken glass. Right. There was not very many smartphones on the market, and people didn't own them.
And here's the thing. Here's the thing. There is so much more opportunity than just broken glass. I don't want. And I know that's where I was going. That was our example, right? So what I don't want people to get caught up with is just the thing. Hey, broken glass is the only opportunity I have. Right. There are so many other advanced level repairs, or advanced level repairs. That can be done where you can monetize those repairs, guys. So don't think that broken glass is the only opportunity. Right. And one thing I did see also is Jermaine actually said, Radio Shack is outsourcing most of their repairs. Now I don't know if that's true or not. I can't honestly say.
They were for a while. I know that they're not anymore. Right. I know that and some of the franchisee stores might still be doing it. Right. But in the corporate stores, which is several here in the Phoenix area as well, and I saw it in Dallas last week when I was out there. Right. But the corporate stores, they're basically what they're doing is they're rolling out a test to a few stores, right? And that's how you do things when you're smart about it. You don't put it out in every store till you iron it out. So that's kind of what they're doing. And they're doing some basic repairs on site, and then they're having more difficult repairs sent out somewhere else. Right. So, you know, again, there's some opportunity there. What's another question you want to grab?
Just some. We get a lot of school questions. A lot of schools like in regards to what we teach and suggestions about how they should do their business. So what I'm saying is, how about tablet repair? Do you train on tablets in addition to mobile phones? Absolutely, we do. Yeah, you can go online and see what that is. Mobile phones for our 5-day. We have a couple of different classes. We have 4 different classes that we actually teach. We do our comprehensive class, which is a 5-day class. It's Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. And that's currently what we have.
Right. Yeah. I was gonna say we're undergoing a full overhauling of our programs again. Exactly. Because we're seeing the market needs, and we'll be communicating to you guys about that over the next several weeks. Yeah. Stay tuned. So I don't want to get too caught up on that, but definitely tablet repairs or something. I'm gonna tell you, so many people get focused on cell phone repairs. Right. There is so much more money. It amazes me till this day how many people still don't think there's money in gaming console repair. You know, that's 25% of my stores, and our students who come for the
it's an epiphany.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they're making money off of fixing old consoles still to this day. Right. Xbox 360s, PS3s. There's a large market there. Absolutely. iPods you can make money with, and definitely tablets. And think about this, guys. Tablets is so huge because if you think about what's happening, more and more businesses are moving to tablets. Restaurants are moving their point-of-sale systems to tablets. Most schools are getting away from printed textbooks, and they're going to tablets, right? So there's a large opportunity to go get very large accounts. Absolutely. With tablets specifically.
Absolutely. And that's one thing you guys shouldn't get caught up in either. Don't B2C, right? Think about B2B also.
Business to business.
Business to business
Right.
is an opportunity also, and a lot of people just get caught up so much in thinking about the residential or the residential customer, the guy who has a cell phone. Well, most of these companies, like Josh was saying, kind of alluding to, is a lot of these companies actually have.
Exactly right.
They provide. Say it again.
Well, Ray said iPads plus kids equals money. Right?
Exactly. Exactly. But what I was saying is there's B2B, business to business opportunities too. All right, where you can actually, it doesn't take as much work, so to speak, to close accounts, and that's continuous work for you again, again, and again, and again. Warranty companies, things like that. You guys, there's opportunity out there for you to capitalize and close those deals. You just got to go out and close those deals. So there's opportunity there too. I wanted to, make sure people understand that.
Yeah, absolutely. What else we got here? Alvaro asks, I've taken your courses before. Would it be good to take new courses? Depending on how long ago you took those courses, Alvaro, and I can tell you what's changing with the way our course structure happens. For people who came to class 2 or 3 years ago, it was kind of an open-ended certificate, and we're actually working with some other major players in the industry right now to really standardize the industry. Mm-hmm. So because of that, our certificates will begin to expire. In fact, as of 2014, all students who've attended, their certificates are only good for 2 years, and then they'll have to retest and recert. Right. Doesn't mean you have to come back for a full class, depending on the class that you got. But Alvaro specifically, what I would say is, depending on the class you took and how long ago, it might make sense to do a refresher. But I would wait until our new courses come out, because they're going to be really clear and defined.
They're going to be so different.
Yeah, they're really going to help you understand where you might be in your skill level and where you might want to go and take it. We're really focusing on much, much more advanced, deep board level repairs, right. As opposed to some of this easy level 1 stuff. Yeah. So, it just depends on where you're at in your career.
God, absolutely. Such a conversation I would love to have tonight, but we're going to save it because we don't want to, we don't want to spoil it. But that conversation there, what Josh is talking about, where the industry is going, and, the way we're changing our curriculum and what we're going to be offering, we're catering to the need. Right, and like I said before, the need has changed. I don't want to get too deep into. I'm so on it. I'm like, I want to talk about it. I want to talk about it. But it's going to be so much beneficial to everyone who participates. Whether you're a technician in the business and you're looking to make $15, $16, $17 an hour being a technician, or whether you want to be an entrepreneur, whether you're a corporation and you need technicians and you need multiple technicians for your multiple locations. I mean, we're going to satisfy all of that. So I want you guys to stay tuned, because we're going to provide that need to everybody. And I think it should satisfy everybody.
We got a technical question from Joseph Sterling that I just want to address real quick. He's asking, he said, I changed the screen on an iPod 4th gen. Mm-hmm. Everything worked before I took it apart. When I tested the screen before I put it back together, now it won't power up. Mm-hmm. Any help would be great. Cables are good, not broken. All appears to be in order. What I would tell you is, and I didn't. Did he say that he tried another screen on that one?
I think he did.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't see it.
Yeah, I don't remember it because it's scrolling on us here. Yeah. But iPods, the 4th generations, they can definitely be really temperamental for repairs. And guys, I have to stress this over and over again, because I see so many people in this business that don't use.
Are you about to? No. E starts with E.
Yeah. Right. ESD. ESD. If you guys are not using electrostatically discharged safe bands, mats, and materials, you are really putting your business and your customers' devices at risk.
Absolutely.
Everybody should know what ESD is.
Electrostatic discharge.
Yeah, you scrape your feet and you generate a shock. Right. But what can destroy devices could move through your body into the components without you even feeling it. Yeah. And it can actually just blow legs and components out on the board. And it's so common in this space because there's so many amateurs that they're not using ESD. So I don't know if that's the answer for yours specifically, but I would tell you that's usually a good place to start. Is be ESD safe, man. Definitely be ESD safe. ESD is the biggest thing ever.
Especially when you have a device that's working, right, or it's operating properly, and then you disassemble and you reassemble and it's not operating properly. A lot of times, well, most of the time it's technical error, right? But like Josh said, especially here in Arizona, because it's so dry, we get it all the time. If you don't wear ESD in Arizona, you're going to discharge into your customer's device and possibly destroy it. Like Josh said, it doesn't always, it's not like the skies open up and you hear the trumpets roar. A lot of times you don't know. You have no idea because you can't always feel that discharge depending on how much voltage it actually is or how much is being transferred. So, it happens all the time. So you got to make sure you're being safe, using the right tools, using the right equipment, and doing the job properly. Or you're going to have a lot of headache on the back end.
Exactly.
So
we got a question from Brandon. He's asking, do you find it worth my time to do advanced motherboard type repairs? Seems like it would usually be more trouble than it's worth. You want to get that one?
Well, I'll start, and then you can finish up. Absolutely, Brandon. I would say absolutely. And board level, it depends on what board level you're talking about. If you're talking about actually a closed, open circuit type thing where you got to pull out the oscilloscope, you got to pull out the logic probe, that type of thing. Well, what's happened is this technology has shrunk, right? So we used to work for, like I said, a Fortune 500 company. We worked for this same company, and what we saw over that course of time is we saw technology shrink. And as technology shrinks, it gets more complicated in design. So, for instance, computers, if you notice computers, they used to be one-sided in terms of components, right? So you would have most of your components on one side, and the other side of the board may have a few. But with phones, mobile devices, because they've gotten so small, now the space has kind of gone away. And so now you have components on like everywhere. They're like fighting for places, and the technology has really shrank in order to do this. So that's what makes this business actually different, is because the skill that it takes to, say, remove a burnt resistor or a damaged resistor or a filter or a capacitor or something of that nature, it takes a lot more skill to remove and replace that. And many times what you're able to find in terms of board level, you can find those things. You have to use your microscope a lot of times and do your visual inspection. And just doing that a lot of times, you will see where the problem could be, all right? And if you see a burnt resistor or a missing resistor, or if something fell off because it hit the ground, yes, you can definitely repair those things. You can remove, replace. We go deep, especially into soldering, which is one thing we're really adding and going really deep into our soldering training on our what you guys are going to be using here in a few minutes. It goes really deep into repairs, and we're really, like Josh said, we're really boosting up that board level stuff. So to answer your question, let me get specific. To answer your question, it really depends. Like from a business standpoint, if you have 20 repairs one day, right, and you have 2 technicians, right, you really have to make a decision from a business standpoint as to whether that makes sense to spend the extended amount of time on one particular type device, right? If it takes you 4 hours to repair a device, does that make sense for your business? Well, right? And that's kind of what you have to, that's kind of one of the things you have to kind of measure. Like, does it make sense for me to spend that amount of time to actually repair?
Right. So I want to chime in, though, because I answer it simply, yes, it makes sense to do advanced level repairs. It does. And let me tell you why. There's really 3 main reasons, okay? One, now granted, what Will is saying is absolutely correct, and as you build your business, you have to decide. Every company has, in the industry, we use a term that's called BER, Beyond Economical Repair, and every company has its own threshold for when it deems that something should be called BER, right? Some companies might take more time to work on something.
Which is okay.
Right, than someone else might. So, there's a lot of places now that are only doing glass. That's all they can do, glass, glass, glass. But guess what happens when they break something off on the board, that's the #1 reason why you need to learn how to do board level repairs, is because technicians, and yourself included, will break something off of the board when you work on these devices. Right. It will happen.
It's going to
happen. It will. So if you don't have the skills to repair that, you just bought that customer a new phone.
Yeah, and that can eat into your profit really quick.
Really quickly, right? So that's reason #1. Reason #2 is positioning. It depends on how you position your business against your competition. Mm-hmm. Like we were saying earlier, something that's really powerful about being able to do advanced level repairs is that your competition isn't.
Right.
So that means that you can go to them and offer them wholesale repairs for things they can't fix and actually do the repairs for them. Mm-hmm. Locally or mail-ins are a little bit hard. We'll get into that another time.
Right.
But on a local business, on a local level, it makes a lot of sense because you can actually position yourself and become someone that really does advanced repairs when no one else in your marketplace does. Okay? And the third reason why it makes sense is because you have larger profit margins.
Right.
Okay? Think about this. Majority of what you're doing on board level repair is going to be labor.
Yeah.
right? So you can charge $100, $150 to fix something that nobody else could fix, and it doesn't cost you anything in parts, right? Or maybe you just have to harvest something off of an old board to put it onto the new board, right? So the margins when you get into advanced level repairs are much larger than they are on the level 1 repairs, because you have a higher cost of parts. You have to get a digitizer assembly to put into the phone to do a glass repair. So those are my 3 reasons why I think it makes perfect sense. And when you look at the big companies that are in the space, they're doing it, because the lower you can get your beyond economical rates, your BER rates, right, the higher the churnout you get, especially if you're refurbishing phones, if you're buying broken phones or recycling or something like that. I think I saw someone on there that's a recycler. If you're doing that, being able to reduce your BER rates allows you to, you know, recoup more money. That's a handset that you would have called BER that's now sellable to you.
Don. I'm sorry. I'm laughing at Don. Don put $,
Gaming repairs, right? Yeah, Don knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, Don definitely. He definitely
I like Don. He knows what he's talking about.
Shout out to Don. Absolutely, Don. Okay, let's answer how many more questions you want to do, Josh. We're right at
we're getting down to we'll take a couple more questions. We've got about 3 minutes, and then we'll give you guys the special offer.
The special offer, right? So hang around. Don't go anywhere. So you pick.
Let me see.
Somebody put how much does training cost with you guys. You can find that on our website. It's pretty straightforward. You know, our comprehensive class, I think $7.99. I'm sorry, $9.99, which is the 5-day class. I can't really remember all of them. I think the tablet is $7.99. The lens separation, if I'm not mistaken, I think
that one's $7.99.
$7.99. But that's all the information is right there on our website. You guys can you can look at that, access that information, or give us a call, and we'll answer that for you. No problem.
Yeah, I saw one here. Stephen James, he sent us a message. He's wondering schematics, how to read them, right? So what I would tell you, Stephen, is what you'll see, and if you have your hand on some schematics, you're in a minority of what's available out there.
Right.
Now, how to read schematics is really not that complicated, and we've been talking about actually teaching that.
Right.
The only reason we don't is because there's no reliable source to give schematics. Think about this. I'm going to use an analogy, right? In the car business, Ford makes their repair manuals available to service centers, right? So that third-party service centers can service Ford vehicles, right? In this space, that's not happening, right? Apple is not releasing their schematics for guys like us to fix these things. So, you know, you have to scour the web to find stuff, and then you have to question how legitimate it is when you find it, right? So realistically, there's not any real reliable source for schematics, and schematic reading at this stage of the industry really isn't something that we put a lot of emphasis on. You know, I'm not trying to talk you out of trying to learn that skill. I think it's a great skill. It's something I learned.
Yeah.
I'm sure you learned in electronic school as well.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's a great skill to have, but it's not something that we use. In fact, in the next webinar, we'll go into what the different levels of training are, because in this industry, people throw levels around really, really openly. And I don't think everybody really understands what the difference between level 1, level 2, and level 3 repair
I really don't see how you can be a master technician in 5 days.
It's impossible. I mean, let's get that straight.
How can you be a master technician in 5 days?
No, you can't master. I can't master
baking a cake in 5 days.
Right, exactly.
So
yeah, exactly.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, not master. So
we'll get to that later.
What I was going to say is with schematics specifically, a lot of times that's going to fall under what are called level 4 or 5 repairs.
Right.
And for what we're talking about in this space, unless you have a company where you're doing a lot of refurbishing, and that might make sense for you, for what we're talking about in this space in North America right now, our focus for everybody in this space is maximum level 3.
Right.
Just because of the time involved in doing the deeper, those are deep repairs when you're breaking out the oscilloscopes and spectrum analyzers and things like that.
Yeah.
And it's just not a need in the industry yet. I do see it evolving.
It is.
I see it evolving.
It's coming.
Yeah.
It's definitely coming. And
I see it evolving. It's just not there yet.
We're adjusting to that change all the time, guys. That's one thing we do at Cellular Repair School is we adjust to the change. We adjust to the need. So as you guys see need, we're listening to that need, and we're going to make sure we adjust to that need as opposed to shoving the same thing down your throat that was, you know, was helping, you know, 5 years ago, right? It's not the same. The industry has changed. There's so much more different opportunity. So what we want to do here again is just make sure we're providing you guys with what you need to be successful.
Right.
Right.
So I'm gonna take one more question.
That differs us from.
Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah,
one more
right.
question, and it's from Sheik or Shake, and he's asking. He's a first-time student for learning, and he wants to know what we recommend as far as training right now, or do we recommend waiting for when we do the new training classes that are coming out? So
good question.
I know, and I almost hate to get into it, but I know we need to address that because all of our classes right now are fantastic. I think I don't know if there's any of our current students or past. I know there's a couple of past students. All of our classes are really, really great. I think if you come to class right now, you're going to get the value out of it that you need, and it really depends on what your goal is. What I can tell you, what's going to happen with our new classes is longer time.
Yes.
Right? It's much longer time.
It's proficiency.
So, yeah, because that's what we've seen is that a lot of people leave and they just don't have 100% of the confidence that we want them to have.
Right.
Our goal is to create the best technicians in the industry, period. And in order to do that, we're going to have to spend more time with you guys. So that's what's going to happen. We kind of let the cat out of the bag a little bit there.
I'm trying to make sure that's
right.
Yeah.
We kind of let the cat out of the bag a little bit there. Is that our class length is going to be increasing for on-campus classes and, of course, the online, but those are still self-paced anyways.
Right.
But the on-campus classes, the length of time will be increasing for what's necessary, and it makes sense when you think about it.
It does.
But to go back to your specific question, depending on what your goal is, you could definitely still come and take our comprehensive course, which is going to give you, it's going to be a primer into the industry and really get you a wide spectrum of knowledge. So you're going to understand how to do the basic level 1 repairs, liquid damage repairs, and some board repairs.
Which will always be available.
Right.
That'll always
exactly.
be. So we're not taking away anything that exists. We're just
adding to it. Exactly. Yeah. Because there's still those individuals who just want to come in, get a primer in the business, and go back home and hit the ground running. But then there's a lot of individuals who want to have more time and really become top-level technicians.
Right.
So that's what we're doing is we're creating a product for
Josh,
all
I think
you
I
guys.
think you told a little too much.
I know. I know, man. She got me, man. She got me. So that's it. That's it. So now let's get into the offer.
Right. So we're at 58 minutes, and we're trying to keep it again.
We're going to keep this one to an hour. Yeah, we're going to keep this one to an hour. We're going to run over a little bit tonight.
But that was great questions, guys. Great questions. And again, if you got any more questions, send them in. And, anything you guys want to talk about.
I want to point out, so the video feed, we're going to cut it off after we give you this offer. So hang around for just a couple more seconds. We're going to offer you guys something great for being here today. But after the video feed stops, continue to post your questions because we're going to hang around for a little bit and we'll take some time and go through and answer your questions as many as we can get.
Right.
And then if we didn't get them, or if you have ideas for topics you want to learn the next time, we did stick a sticky up there. You could just send your ideas for the next webinar to sales@cellularrepairschool.com. And in fact, we're going to make a special space for this in the future where you can submit ideas and kind of do some voting for ideas that come on the shows. But yeah, hang around, post your questions in the chat, and we're going to be sticking around to kind of answer those for you.
And guys, just to kind of piggyback on what he's saying, guys, we're doing this just to be transparent and really help you guys understand what you need to know in regards to this business, right? Which is why we're actually giving you this bonus, so you can see what the potential is. Like you can really see it and you can participate in it and see what it does for you. So I just wanted to add that stay with us, come back, ask us questions. We love interacting with, our anybody who's interested in this opportunity. And again, we love to provide that opportunity and help you guys be successful in making sure that opportunity manifests. So we're very passionate about that.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So just want to wrap it up with that. So
what's the bonus, man?
What's the bonus? So the bonus.
What's the bonus, man?
Let's talk about it. The bonus is actually, and Josh kind of mentioned this a little bit before, the bonus is actually we're going to give you guys free trial access, right?
Right.
Now, what that means is you're not going to have total access. You're going to have limited access for a limited amount of time, but we feel like it gives you enough to really understand what the possibilities are, what the opportunities are. And you can do that it's going to be over the course of 7 days, as you guys saw. So you'll have more than enough time to get in there, play with it. And, it also, one thing that I'm passionate about with this, too, is people have different learning styles, Josh.
Yeah.
Right? People have different learning styles. So there's people who definitely like to come to class, which, in my opinion, is the best way to learn, right? It's just in my opinion.
Yeah. I've taken online classes.
I've taken online classes,
and because of time.
Right.
So, I'm a hands-on guy just like you.
Right.
But sometimes my schedule or whatever's going on, I just don't have the time.
Right.
To go out.
Right.
So, excuse me, I think the online serves a place as well. So I just want to clarify what we're doing, and you guys should see the pop-up on the side now. We're offering you a 7-day test drive of our online training system. So this is perfect for anyone who's wanting to get into space, and the point of doing this specifically is to kind of let you see what we've got going on for you.
Absolutely.
And this is being revamped right now while we speak as well.
Oh, absolutely.
But for those of you that aren't in the business, we want to give you the opportunity to go out and make some money, man. You know, so take the test drive, spend the next 7 days devouring as much information as you can.
That's available.
Right, that we made available for you. And then use the bonuses that are inside of that test drive to go out and do some Craigslist postings and some different things to make some money.
Yeah,
make some money.
See how it works. See how it works
right.
for you. See how it works for you. And then if it works for you, it's good, you like it, you love it, you get more of it. Right?
Right.
I love it, I want it, I want
you sound like, what is that, Toby Keith or something like that?
I like it, I love it, I want it.
How do you know that, man?
my daughter, I heard her say it one time, so it just sticks with me. You know
right.
what I mean?
But, yeah, you caught me off guard with that one.
I did. I caught myself off guard with that one. But yeah, guys, do that. So I think Josh posted already.
Yeah, you guys should be seeing it.
Yeah. Hey, do you guys see it? Yes, no? Does everybody see it? Let us know if you see it or not, so we can make sure everybody's getting the same opportunity.
Yeah, they should be seeing
it. Okay.
And by the way, since you attended, we're going to send out the link. So even if you miss it now, we're going to send out a link via email to all the attendees for you to be able to take the test drive as well. We are going to be making the webinar available for a replay also, because it seems like there was some drops that happened during the broadcast also. You know, things happen, guys. We appreciate your patience hanging in there. You know, but yeah, we're going to make this available for you again. We're going to re-upload it for a limited time. And that's it. You know, like I said, take the test drive. Get in the business. If you're in the business, take the test drive anyways. You know, see if you understand some of the things. We're going to cover some things that I think a lot of people in the industry don't know.
Right.
You know, some basic DC electronics, some topology, where we talk about the differences between the network types. You know, it's good to know this stuff so you understand how to speak to your customers when they ask you weird questions.
Exactly.
You know, you don't want to seem like you don't know what you're doing, and you don't want to seem like a guy that just knows how to take screws out and put screws right back in where they went.
Exactly.
We want you to start thinking about how to troubleshoot and diagnose. Use your brains.
Yeah.
Right. Right? Use your, what's it called? Use your noggins.
Your noodles.
Your noodle.
My mom used to call them noodles.
Yeah, use your noodles.
So one thing I'm going to show you guys right before we leave, I'm going to show you a little bit about what it looks like on the back end so you know you've gotten in. Okay, so let me pull that up. Alrighty. And what you see here, guys, is you see once you get in, this is kind of what the free access is going to look like once you get in. Alright, so what you'll see here at the very top is cell phone trial access. Right? And what you want to do is click on that. You guys can see the arrows. And what you want to do is click on that first module. And that first module is going to give you a lot of information. It's actually going to give you the bonus that Josh talked about. So it's going to give you all that information. If you guys have any problem with this, please, well, Josh, what can they do if they have a problem with getting in? How can they? How should we?
We'll have you just send an email. Send an email, and there's going to be some technical difficulties. I can tell you that right now. It's the first time we've ever tried doing this for you guys. But just send an email to support@cellularrepairschool.com. We'll post a sticky up right now so you know that one as well. So if you do sign up for the test drive and you have a hard time logging in or something like that, just send an email to support@cellularrepairschool.com, and our staff will get on that for you right away to get that all corrected and taken care of.
Absolutely.
Okay. So in fact, let me post that up there for you guys now.
And again, we're doing an overhaul of this back end too. So you guys, our alumni who are on here, you guys who've been through this once, go through it again. See the differences. There's been some changes. We're always updating to, you know, make sure we're providing the value, and also we want you guys to give us suggestions of what you need. Let us know, what do you need? Tell us, what do you need? We're here to provide that, and we're going to make sure you get that. So that's why we're having these live webinars, so we can talk to you, interact with you, and so you can tell us live, in person, right? We would, you know, it'd be cool if we could actually have you guys speak, right? But 123 or 120 or 150, you know, 200 people, you know, it's kind of hard to make sure everybody's not talking over each other. So we would love to talk to you guys one-on-one. I'd love to hear your voices, but unfortunately we just can't do that. But you know, if you come to class, we get to see you actually one-on-one. So that'd be great. And trust me, guys, it's something that you definitely, if you haven't invested in, you know, jump off the fence. Go ahead and get into it. And at the minimum, at the least, right? Try it. Okay, you're gonna make your money back at the minimum. Okay, so try it, right? And at the maximum, it's limitless, right? You could really do, like, we know people who are doing, you know, doing very well.
Yeah, hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, hundreds of thousands of dollars
yeah.
in this business. So, Josh, got anything you want to say?
That's it. That's it. I appreciate everybody's patience. I see it seems like we still got some technical issues. Bill is saying he can't see the link.
Can we post the link in the chat?
Yeah, you know, let me find the link.
Okay.
And then
so what Josh is doing right now, he's going to look for the link. And for you guys who are having trouble seeing the link, and sometimes that may happen, that's okay. If you have,
well, you know what? Well, I'm going to email out. So if everybody registered with their normal emails,
right, check that email.
Yeah, we'll send an email right after this broadcast before I leave tonight. I'll send that out for you guys so you can have the link if it's not showing for some reason. I don't know why it wouldn't be, but if it's not for some reason, we'll go ahead and send that out to you. Okay. But other than that, I don't have anything else tonight.
I think that's it, guys.
You know, I appreciate everybody attending.
I really enjoyed it.
Like I said, send us some ideas. We've got a set series of things we're going to be talking about. This was just the primer to let you know what we're planning and to kind of give you guys an overview of the industry, just to kind of recap. Again, for showing up tonight, we're going to give you the opportunity to test drive our online training system for 7 days. So that's a fantastic opportunity for you. We're giving you some free bonus training in there as well, so you can actually get out there and start making some money.
Yeah.
Right? And then next week, we're going to be doing a little bit more pointed topic webinar. And again, send us your ideas, because we're going to use those ideas to create show material for you guys. That's what we want to be here.
Right.
We want to show you the level of support that we provide to our students far exceeds anything that is available anywhere else on the planet.
Right. We do this. We do this.
Yeah.
Right.
We do this.
We do
right.
this. And just to let you guys know, next week it's going to be specifically, purpose topic is for you guys who are already in the business, which a lot of you guys seem to be, how to get more business. All right. It's going to be catered to how to drive more traffic to your business.
Yeah.
Right?
So a little bit of marketing.
A little bit of marketing. Yeah. Exactly. Which any business that provides a product or a service, you definitely need.
You're number one in marketing.
number one in marketing. All right. So we'll be talking about that next week.
We're at hour 7. I got to use the bathroom personally.
All right, and I gotta get home to my baby.
So I guess that's it for this show. We
right.
appreciate you guys showing up. Will, always good hanging out with you.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Let's see you next week.
Okay.
All right.
See you guys.
Next week. All right. Have a good one.
Again, real quick, post your questions. We'll answer some questions for a little bit afterwards.
Right. See you guys.
See you guys.